Who do you want to be your next Prime Minister?
Should be made. We've set out in much greater detail than any other party £15 billion worth of savings, which are a kind of upfront down payment to deal with this huge black hole we have in our public finances. What are we talking about? Things like scrapping the new generation of biometric passports, public sector pay restraint.
We've set out a 4-year deficit reduction plan, and that starts from 2011. And it's designed to have tax rises that are fair, spending cuts that are equitable, and at the same time, growth in the economy that is essential for recovery.
David Cameron.
Well, Nadeem, you're quite right. There are going to have to be cuts, and we need to be frank about this. We were the first to say that cuts would have to be made. But I really want to explain to people that if I'm your Prime Minister, I will do everything I can to protect the frontline services. I want to see the police officers on the beat.
So we can have cuts in capital investment. Public sector pay will not rise as it did in previous years, and public sector pensions are being reformed. But I have to say one thing that is absolutely crucial to the time we are in at the moment, in this uncertain and dangerous world.
It is every business leader, every leading business leader is saying that we have got it right, and the government going on wasting money is wrong. But let me tell you where I think we should start. We should start with welfare. Under this government, there are now 5 million people on out-of-work related benefits.
People aren't going to accept these difficult decisions unless we also do it fairly. That's what I think, accompanying the difficult job of actually filling the structural deficit, we also need to introduce a big tax switch.
Now, obviously, with the terrible situation we have in our public finances, with the mess left by Gordon and Labour, where out of every £4 the government spends, well,
You have a chance to answer that in a moment. Nick Clegg.
Is it Adina? Sorry, in this echoey hall, I couldn't hear you. Yes, Adina, I think you're absolutely right.
The reason for the national insurance rise is to ensure our health services, our police and our education, and David cannot guarantee funding for police and education that will match what we're doing.
The other two parties simply don't understand that. Inheritance tax should only be paid by the richest, by the millionaires. It shouldn't be paid by people who've worked hard and done the right thing in their lives.
Start working, even if it's just part-time, we should help them keep more of their money. It is as simple as that. That is the fair thing to do. I just don't think it makes sense, really, at a time when money is tight, that someone even on my salary, which is a really good MP salary, could be entitled to the family component of tax credits.
Poorest people in the country the hardest. They remember the measly 75p increase on pensioners that Gordon Brown was responsible for.
And let me say this, the whole reason we're having this debate about how difficult it is to get taxes down.
The first thing we need to do is actually regulate these banks properly. We would put back to the Bank of England the power to regulate the banks.
It sounds draconian, but I think it's now necessary. We should say no bonuses whatsoever to the directors of banks at board level. Why do I say that?
David, I had to nationalise Northern Rock. And we had also to take over the Royal Bank of Scotland and Halifax Lloyds TSB. And the reason we did so was to save the savings and deposits of families throughout the country. If we hadn't done that, then the banks would have collapsed.
Is that if you look at the Labour record over the last 13 years, they did very much hitch the whole fortunes of the economy to the City of London. And we got into a situation where we ended up with the whole economy having to serve the banks rather than the other way around.